October 6th, 7 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Massive weekend of college football. We're going to recap for you today. A lot to get to. Paul Finebaum with us at 7:20. DJ Shockley, former Georgia quarterback, now a member of the media over there in Atlanta, going to join us at 8:20. And Tyler Watts, former Bama quarterback, as always, joins us at 9. Did you get a chance to speak to Tyler in the stadium, G-Mac?
I did not. I had my family there, so a lot of my time was spent kind of being with them. I didn't get to see Corey. I didn't get to see Tyler. I didn't get to see anybody. It was kind of a weird game. I don't even know where they're located now. I don't even know where the booth is, which is that bad? Because they've kind of rearranged everything. So we kind of live in no man's land over there on the, I guess you would say, the east side of the stadium.
I think it's like two spots, Dave, to go out and around by where the
Gotcha.
sort of close to the new press box to be able to get there. But take us through how cool it was to just be back in the stadium, especially having your kids there. I know that had to be awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it's always super fun taking them back, and that's one of the perks of our job, being able to go to games, take them to games, have credentials and all access and all that fun stuff. But it was great. It's always fun to go back. We obviously go back at least once, maybe twice, in some cases 3 times a year. But this one was neat. First time this season, and the first time where my 6-year-old can really process what's going on and who the people are, and everyone was super gracious with their time. Got to visit with a handful of players and got to enjoy those conversations, and my son Vince was just on cloud 9 all game long. So special experience, awesome, and always grateful for the time we get to spend down there in Tuscaloosa for sure.
Pretty cool. Ty Simpson to come over and kind of give him 5 for the game, talk to him a little bit as well. I know he was probably pumped about that one.
Oh yeah, he was all jacked up about that. He loved it, and Ty's a great kid. And I'm so proud of him. And I told him that. That's what I told him before the game. I've told him that last week. I've told him that several times since the Florida State game. I was proud of him after the Florida State game, to be honest with you. I thought he played his tail off. He played his heart out. Didn't make all the plays that you would have wanted, but that guy battled in that game, man. So I told him over and over again, man, how proud I am of him, and reminded him of that before the game. And he didn't even care at all that much about talking with me. He was all about wanting to talk to Vince. He's like, I talked to you yesterday. I want to talk to your man here, right here. So that was cool. And Vince got a real kick out of it. And he was tickled because we got Vince a Ty jersey, because I just love what Ty represents, and I love what Ty stands for. So we got Vince a Ty jersey, and Ty was all jacked up about Vince wearing a 15 jersey that was, quote, stitched. That was like a big deal to Vince. And Ty noticed it as well. So Vince was like on cloud 9 for that. So super cool. Great moment. And I didn't even know it was on video until somebody sent me that yesterday. But pretty cool. Glad it was on video. And to be honest with you, our camera crew actually got video of me and Vince roaming around. We didn't ask them to. They got us throwing the ball. They got us talking with Ryan Williams. They got us talking with Jeremy, going over to Austin Mack, seeing him, watching him throwing right up close, and then, of course, meeting Ty. So appreciate my camera crew as well for kind of documenting the whole experience for me and my buddy.
All right, so Ty Simpson goes for his second most yards in his career, 340 against Vanderbilt, 23 of 31, 2 touchdowns, did have the 1 interception. But it seems to be that decision making again for me when I watch him operate, of just knowing who to get to, when to get there, looking guys off, when to tuck the ball and run. Obviously, there are going to be a couple of things where he decidedly has the option to do that, and they use that
Right.
well. But he just seems efficient, confident, and I tell you this, he has got a better arm than I think people give him credit for, because every game there's 2 or 3 that you can tell he cuts it loose. And you rewind it a few times, and you're like, man, that ball got on him in a hurry. Like that, it's got some velocity behind it. And that picture of him has not really been painted as somebody who can really push the ball out there, but he can do it when he needs to.
No doubt. He's got plenty of arm. And he's also athletic. I mean, I think that unless it's like an absolute howitzer, I don't think people realize. You know what I mean? I mean, everyone can see that Joe Milton throws it hard. But I think it's a little bit underestimated just how good his arm is. And I thought he played a beautiful game outside of about 3 plays. And honestly, what I think is amazing, the guy's still a young quarterback. I know he's in year 4, but he's only started 5 games. It's not like this guy's seen every look imaginable. I mean, he's still early in his development from a processing standpoint. So to play now 4 games in a row with probably 5 plays in each game, which you might like to have back on the high side, is pretty dang impressive, dude. In a 60, 65 play game, I would say at most he probably had 5 snaps he'd like to have back against Georgia, perhaps. Maybe 3 or 4 against Vandy. Maybe 1 or 2 against Wisconsin, and maybe 0 against Louisiana Monroe. So to keep his processing moving in the right direction is tremendous. I'm very, very impressed with how he's played up to this point. I really am.
Also love how they move the ball around. Didn't really seem to force feed anybody. Ryan Williams did have 6 catches. Bernard had 5 catches. Utilized the tight ends a little bit. Utilized screens. And there's certain things that guys do that are never going to get enough credit. And for me, the way Ty Simpson operates screens, I just give him a ton of credit for, because he actually draws the defense to him. And you see so many guys on screens, Greg, they get the ball and they take like 1/2 step back and then they just wait and they try to throw it. And it's like he understands how to float it over a defender. He's got great touch on him. He's not afraid to draw the defender to him, knowing that might mean contact. He just technically and fundamentally, there are little parts of his game that I don't think he's ever going to get a ton of credit for that he deserves a lot of credit for, because that's part of operating the offense. It's part of making a play go, doing your part to make a play go, and he gets those little pieces of a lot of things that the offense asks of him.
Well, I think he just understands how the big picture works together. It also too, I mean, you watch him. He goes up to the line of scrimmage with a package of plays, and obviously grubs in his ear up until 15 seconds. So that's helpful, right? So you break the huddle. In some cases, you're no huddle. You're on the ball. Let your coordinator actually see it. Do some motions. Sometimes it's sugar motion. Just put a little sugar on it just to kind of get them to tell, hey, are they going to be man? Are they going to be zone? What have you? And that will allow Grubb to get in the best possible play. But I do think that he has a lot of freedom as well, because he's making adjustments with 10 seconds or less on the play clock from time to time. Like, he's a next level player from a cerebral standpoint. That's impressive, man. Like, yes, I saw the play. I actually documented it in the game. He's sitting up there. It's 2 high safeties. They check run. Like, you can just tell. I'm like, all right, it's two high safeties, probably check and run here. And then all of a sudden, they kind of do a little bit of a fake motion just to confirm what he had, and then all of a sudden the nickel starts looking like he's going to blitz. Hey, check, real quick. Another one. I'm going to throw it real quick to the right-hand side, because why? I have the nickel on the left-hand side that's blitzing. And we showed the whole thing, the whole sequence from the rear view camera, the sky cam view. And with audio, you hear, hey, easy, this. Oh, hey, all right, perfect. We're going to run it. 2 high safeties. It's a good run look. Then you see nickel coming off the easy. Check it to whatever. He throws a whole shot to Jerm Bernard to the right-hand side, and all because he saw that triggering nickel. Like, really, really impressive. Like, next level stuff. So, yes, feel for screen, feel for play action, back to the defense stuff, like understanding how the bigger picture works together, making audibles and checks. Like, he's doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, and I love what the offense did in this game too. You could tell there was a little bit more of, we are going to run the football. There was more of an emphasis on it. I hate saying it was forced a little bit more, because it's not like there were just ridiculous looks that they ran the ball into, but maybe just a little more stubbornness of staying with it. And Jam Miller makes that difference. 22 for 136, ran for a touchdown. He's not the fastest out there. He's not the most powerful. I don't know if he has the best burst, but he just brings something different. And I think he's got great vision, great feel. He rides his blocks well. When he does decide to get north and south, he does it with authority. He finishes runs towards the end zone. So it's a lot of little things that he does maybe better than a lot of the other backs, but it's not going to be things that are super noticeable by a lot of people, G-Mac. But it just feels different when he's in the game. And I think you saw that being a reason why they probably wanted to stay a little bit more stubborn with the run in this one. Once you took the lead, you knew that having Vanderbilt chase points was not going to be their game, and most likely wanted to try to make them continue to try to push. because that was going to put a lot of pressure on that offense. It's not really how they operate. But, man, having Jam back, and I thought formationally Grubb did an awesome job. I mean, you got ace formation, which is my favorite formation in football. Then you got ace pistol. You had gun bone. Then you had Bernard taking direct snaps. I mean, they did a lot of different things in this game to keep that defense off balance.
And what's amazing, they left a lot of plays on the field, which to me is encouraging. Like, that was probably a B performance against I think Vanderbilt's a good football team. By the way, I have not had one, and maybe they're out there and I just haven't heard from them. I have not had one person come and say to me, oh, yeah, you know what, I'm not sure about Vanderbilt. Every single person that watched that team yesterday has an immense amount of respect for them. That's a good college football team. They really, really are. So that's been a really nice reaction that a lot of people have had, where they're tipping their cap. Like, that's a dang good football team, as opposed to, oh, man, Bama struggle with Vandy again. Like, people have adjusted their thought process on Vandy, which I'm pleased with. But the other thing I'd say about their formations and creativity, like, they left a lot of, in the run game especially, like Kevin Riley had a run out the left where if he cuts it back early, it's out the gate. That Jeremy Bernard direct snap, he stays too wide. If he cuts it up inside, it might be out the gate. He might hit his head on the goalpost. Like, they probably left 4 or 5 decent runs on the field that I think had a real chance to go the distance, which means they're close. Like, they were close against Georgia. I think they took a stride against Vandy. And if you talk to the staff, remember a couple years ago when they were at Washington, everyone was like, oh, they can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. They can't run the ball. And then they played SC, and Dylan Johnson went 27 for 270. You remember that?
Yep.
It feels like a game like that's coming at some point here in the very near future.
I wouldn't be surprised about it at all. And I think a lot of the things that you saw begin to be set up, and I'm gonna go with what you said about Vanderbilt, man. Like, that's why I think that Jordan Jefferson forced fumbles to play the game.
No doubt.
They got a chance to go up 2 scores late in the first half and put Alabama in maybe an uncomfortable situation right there. And that's where Vanderbilt needed to be in this game, as we just said. We talked about it all last week. They needed a good start. They needed to be ahead. They needed to be able to just run the clock. But when you watch the way that they operated the offense outside of the late turnovers, I mean, 2 turnovers in the red zone, both with opportunities to either, I think, tie or take the lead in the game. And you got to feel pretty good about the way your team performed, minus those turnovers, if you're Clark Lee. Because a lot of what Alabama got through the air, too, I thought, Greg, was just that, I mean, they just won some one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just and that's going to happen. It's what it is. But you saw guys in the backfield. Now, they did not get Ty Simpson to the ground. I know that's one thing that they're probably looking back on and saying, we had our shots at that quarterback. We needed to get him down. We needed to get hits on him. They were close a couple of times. I thought the Alabama protection was just barely good enough for most of the game. But Vanderbilt was pretty close on a couple of things. But They tackled well for the most part. I mean, it wasn't like guys just running through tackles the entire game, 15, 16 missed tackles. It wasn't that. I mean, they got the run game going a little bit at times. I thought Pavia manipulated fakes and reads very well. He had a couple nice throws out on the perimeter. They did some really good things in this game. And Vanderbilt's, I mean, again, this is nothing new from this show. They are going to be a handful for everybody they play the rest of the year, as long as they stay healthy. And, I mean, the offensive line got good movement at times. I mean, look at play 1, play 3. I mean, they're moving people. And as we have also described, that is not something we've seen in a Vanderbilt uniform very often, maybe ever, really and truly.
Correct.
I don't know if I've seen a Vanderbilt offensive line move an Alabama defender. I mean, there's one where 55 bodies up. I don't know if I think it was 91, and it's like it's one-on-one. And now this is not like a huge play or anything, but this is just one play stuck out to me. It is one-on-one. It's like inside zone to his side, and he's like got his guy almost 2 yards off the ball. It's just like a board drill, and it's like that is legitimate movement right there. And that I haven't seen a Vanderbilt player do that. And so they look great, man. And I know people are going to say 30-14, and oh, it's a blowout. What? It wasn't, man. I mean, you have to leave that game giving Vanderbilt respect and saying they are going to be a handful for everybody they play the rest of the year.
Well, if you don't know ball. I mean, that's the realities. Like, if you don't give Vanderbilt immense credit in that performance, like I don't. And
I'll
Bama
say this
on
quickly, Greg,
side,
on the flip side of that, Alabama's not going to get the credit they deserve for that win.
Probably
they
not.
Won't.
Yeah, probably not. Yep. And that's unfortunate because and look, I'm not trying to suggest that like we're all ball knowers or whatnot. Like, no, it's not that. I'm just telling you guys that's a really good football team. And if you ask now, here's the other thing. I think Bama figured them out. And that to me is something that people will now go to the drawing board with Vanderbilt and say, all right, hey, look what Bama did in backing their linebackers up, about a yard and a half from early on, and look at how Bama kind of backed up their safeties because they were playing real tight to the box there early, which makes sense, right? Vandy's going to run the ball. Let's stop the run. We're not worried about Diego's throwing it. We think we can match up in one-on-one. Like, we can cover them, right? So let's just get everybody up in the box and, quote, talk them out of running it. Well, guess what happens when you're too close? You can't see. And Diego Pavia does not have outrageous length, so he gets lost behind the offensive line. Guess who also doesn't have outrageous length? Cedric Alexander. Like, you can't see those guys behind the line. So Bray Hubbard, who's a great player, he doesn't see it. He doesn't fit it appropriately. Damani Jackson, similar deal, doesn't fit it appropriately. First touchdown is because the secondary, the safety and the corner, don't fit it right. Second big play by Diego Pavia out the right side as well. Same deal. Like, they're too close to the ball. They're too tight. When you back them up a little bit, they can plug. And that, I think, was a big problem. So now we'll see. And then Vandy will obviously make adjustments off this. But I do think the book now is out a little bit on, all right, here's how you play Vandy. You line up your linebackers with toes at 6 or 5, and you have your safeties back just a little bit and allow them to come crashing down instead of getting them too tight where they could lose angles on the ball.
I'm with you right there, 100%. As I'm getting a knock on the door, so it might be a good time for us to head to break.
Heck yeah.
Tell you about our friends at Royal Automotive quickly. You guys know I'm driving a GMC Sierra from Royal Buick GMC. They have been great to me. They can be great to you as well. Just go check out what they have now in stock. And you're going to be able to see SUVs, you're going to see pickups, you're going to see all the different things that you might need for the rest of this year. And massive deals are happening now at Royal Buick GMC. Why not have 3 dealerships on one lot right there at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 in Vestavia to be able to choose from? If you want to go with the Volkswagen, the Volvo, they're going to have those there. If you want to go with the Buicks, they're going to have those there. Those new Buick SUVs, the Enclaves, they are incredible. You're going to want to go check those out. And if you see one of the new Hummers, you're just going to want one. Plain and simple. It's that easy. Royal Buick GMC, they've got the used car lot right there as well, so you can check those out, save a little more money. Corner of I-65 and Highway 31 in Vestavia. Tell them you heard about them right here on McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, or go to royalbuickgmc.net. All right, we'll get to a break. Paul Finebaum joins us next right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:21, Monday, October 6th, right here on Jocks 94.5. He joins us each and every Monday thanks to our friends at Craneworks. Hear him 2 to 6 p.m. right here on Jocks. It's Paul Finebaum.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah! The big dog's got it.
Paul Finebaum on Mac and Cube in the morning is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it, the big dog's got it. Now, Paul Finebaum.
Paul, always great to have you in on a Monday. It feels like everybody's come full circle on Kalen DeBoer. Where are you now on the Alabama head coach?
Well, I think if you're honest with yourself and with the people that you talk to, he's done an amazing job. And listen, I'm well aware of everything I said and everyone else said 6 weeks ago. But the mark of a truly great coach is to turn adversity into success, and that's exactly what Kalen DeBoer has done. So whatever didn't go right on Labor Day weekend is going right now, and that's really what matters. And suddenly, actually not suddenly, it's been trending this direction since the second game. Alabama has morphed into one of the best teams in the country.
Been fun to watch for sure, Paul. And Kalen, I think, has pressed all the right buttons, but I think everyone in the entire building will acknowledge humility is 1 week away, right? So another big one coming up this week, and it doesn't get any easier in what is an absolute gauntlet portion of the schedule for the Tide. But it's amazing to me how people have completely come full circle. But I feel like the moment where they've come full circle was more after the Georgia game, when to me the full circle moment might have been this weekend and the performance they had against a team that had given them fits last year, who has improved in every possible way, and they won that game by making some key plays and doing all the things they didn't do last year. This week's game was more of a sign of progress to me than even the Georgia game. How do you see it?
Yeah, it was difficult at times to watch if you're an Alabama fan because you kept holding your breath, but that was really to complement what you just said, Greg, is that Alabama withstood a number of dangerous, perilous moments, but slowly, methodically figured out how to stay ahead on downs and distance, and ultimately won the game. And I think it was really Vanderbilt who made the terrible decisions in the game that allowed that to happen.
Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us every Monday thanks to Craneworks. Do you view Alabama as, let's just say, tier one in college football right now, the small handful of teams that maybe are a step ahead of everybody else?
Well, I think maybe tier one B. And what I mean by that is I think if you have to look at Ohio State, Oregon, and Miami as probably the absolute top tier, but I think Alabama would be literally right behind them. So it's a matter of semantics, Cole, but they're pretty close to it.
Paul, the Texas Longhorns. It's hard to wrap your head around what's gone down this year. I think we finally got a performance from Florida that we expected all season long, and it took a while, but they got there. But for Texas, to see them get pushed around like that was a hard thing to unsee. How do you think Steve Sarkisian can get back on the horse this week, where they are a shocking favorite against the Oklahoma Sooners?
Yeah, and I think that's probably has everything to do with John Mateer not being in the game.
For
although
sure.
I don't really know why that's such a big deal at this point, considering where Texas is at the quarterback position. I don't know how they're going to get it back together again, Greg, because they just in the two meaningful games that they have played this year, they've had similar problems in both. And in fact, they may have competed better against Ohio State at times than they did against Florida, because Ohio State to me is an infinitely better team than Florida. But I mean, this game really should not have come down to the final series.
Well, I'll tell both of you, because I have an idea that you didn't watch it. If you took a peek at Michael Hawkins against Kent State, you might have an understanding as why Texas is favored in this game, because It's not pretty. I'll just say that.
You sent me enough clips to
Man.
understand why the handicapping is what it is. I got it.
Yeah, it's trust me, Paul. I'm not expecting you to grind on the Oklahoma Kent State
No.
tape, but the quarterback situation is maybe a little more dire than some people anticipated for the Sooners. I still am surprised that Texas is favored. Flip that around though. Where's Billy Napier now? 2-3. Obviously, we know what still lies ahead. It is not an easy path to either bowl eligibility or putting together a great season, but that was an impressive performance. It was an inspired performance against a team with a lot of talent at the end of the day. And where do they go from here? Where does Billy Napier stand now with the Florida administration?
Well, that's hard to say considering the Florida administration Friday and Saturday in Gainesville was really hard to find and get and have them communicate verbally. But I can tell you who did communicate verbally, and those were the fans. And Saturday morning on our set, guys, I was trying to be a company man and I was in the process of criticizing Napier in terms of the reality, but I said, fans down here still really they love Billy Napier, and the entire fan base started booing me, saying, "Let's fire Billy, fire Billy." So I can tell you, the students, I don't think are moved terribly by what they saw and it's the calculus. A&M this week, I don't see that turning around for the Gators. And then it's just a matter of how they can handle certain games. Georgia could be more interesting than I think it looks like on paper. Florida State maybe got a little bit easier. And then it's just a matter of the rest of the season. So he's sitting at 3 losses. I think he'll have 4 next time we talk. And then it's, can you survive with 5 losses, I think. And that's the number I think that's realistic, unless he just turns the whole thing around like he did last year, and then he probably saves his job again. But I ultimately think he is going to be gone.
Well, it's kind of crazy when you think about that. Speaking of gone, I have some Penn State friends, Paul, that are literally looking for the highest cliff on Happy Valley. They are in a dark spot because not only did James Franklin lose the game this past weekend, and frankly was outcoached. I watched it. It was a lot more about execution than it was about effort. But his handling of the press conference after the fact and the excuses made, the laundry list of excuses he made, was a hard thing to stomach. Where is James Franklin in Penn State right now?
Well, I mean, my favorite joke around the weekend was, now James Franklin, you can't add another digit to his 1-loss record against top 10 teams because this one didn't count. The bottom line, guys, is I think he should be fired. That was one of the most embarrassing performances I have ever seen in my life. It's not the biggest upset in college football history. I think Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh from 15 years ago probably has that one locked down. I think that was a 42-point spread. But in some ways, this was equal to that because I don't think we understood what we were watching with Harbaugh on that night. We know what we're seeing with James Franklin. He is his program. How you recover from losses, it tells a lot about who you are. And to go out and lose that game is inexcusable. That was not at the Swamp. That was not at Kyle Field with 100,000 people. That was a garden party in Pasadena, basically, and he still blew it. And I've said repeatedly that he's a good football coach. He's just not a top-tier elite coach. But at some point, the Penn State fans and the administration just have to say, "Man, this is maybe a good time for a change." And I think it is. I'm not talking about firing him outright. I'm talking about going to him and figuring out a way to have him go somewhere else at the end of the season with the blessing of the program, because it's become it's just James Franklin, sadly, for a guy with a pretty good record, has become a punchline in college football.
Paul, how coveted is he going to be? I mean, outside of like a UCLA, who's going to really stretch to go get him? Well,
I think a couple of weeks ago you might have thought a good SEC team would. I don't think that's the case anymore, and that's really why that if he had just walked out of the season this year with another 10-3 record in the playoffs, and he just couldn't beat Ohio State or Oregon or win a big game, that's one thing. Then you can find them a job. But that might have been one of the most costly losses any coach has ever had. Great question, Cole, and the answer is very few schools.
Crazy when you think about it. And it was just the excuses, though, after the fact. Oh, travel. I mean, right first thing, the travel was hard. Well, Oregon had hard travel last week and went up to your place and kicked your butt. So explain to me that. But I digress. Paul, big one this weekend for Auburn. And we haven't asked you about Auburn in a week, so I figured why not do it now. I'm looking at this game, and I'm not saying it's like a must-win by any stretch of the imagination. I still think there's a lot there, and I think Auburn's got a real shot. It's going to be an amazing environment there in Jordan-Hare. So how big is this game for Hugh Freeze? And then on the other side of things, how big is this game for Kirby Smart?
Well, I think in some ways it's probably bigger for Kirby Smart in terms of the rest of the season because he's got a very tough schedule ahead, and you don't want to be sitting there with 2 losses. And he doesn't have the luxury of that great non-conference game. He's got Georgia Tech, and that's about it. He doesn't have that big early game that he's had in the past that I think could help him get into the playoffs. So I think it's essential. I think for Hugh Freeze, his fans need to see something. They're down, they're depressed, there's rumblings, and if you're going to ever succeed as the Auburn football coach, it's pretty obvious what I'm about to say. You have to beat either Georgia or Alabama. And he hasn't done that yet, and he better do it this year.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Paul, and most Auburn fans probably in agreement. What do you think about Texas A&M after what they did over the weekend? Mississippi State's a team that they should get credit for knocking off the way that they did. There were a couple of hurdles, but they overcame them, and there seems to be some parts about this team that are different than older A&M teams. Are you ready to place them in the make a deep playoff run, compete for an SEC championship category?
I am, because, I mean, they have gone through an underrated gauntlet here. And what I mean by that is I think that nationally people aren't looking at the Auburn game at the state game and getting them a lot of credit. But we all know how difficult those games are. Fortunately for them, they were at home. I think the Notre Dame game has somewhat been lost in the weeds, but I'll still compliment them for winning in South Bend. So I think they're in a really great spot. I think another win this weekend, and they have now covered that part of the schedule, which was always, other than Notre Dame, going to be prickly. I can't say first week of October that they're going to make a deep run, but I do think they're a legitimate playoff team, and their schedule sets up pretty well for them, perhaps to even get to Atlanta.
Well, how many in the playoff from the SEC you think? Like, I think the odds on is 4, but it's feeling like it's going to be squeezed with what's going on out in the Big Ten. And granted, 2 matchups this weekend with undefeateds. You could knock off Illinois, for example. You could potentially knock off Michigan this weekend with a road trip to USC. You could knock off Indiana this weekend. So there's a few coming up in the Big Ten, but it feels like it's going to be squeezed big time to get more than 4 in the playoff from the SEC. How do you see it right now?
Yeah, I think 4 is a safe bet. I mean, I understand those who are proclaiming 5, but I think anybody who puts 5 fingers up hasn't studied the SEC schedule very, very well. And I think just this weekend, Greg, in Columbia, Missouri, I mean, what if Missouri wins that game? I mean, they will have come through a pretty amazing preseason, not overly challenging, by the way, other than Alabama. But they're sitting pretty, and I think that affects Alabama a lot because Alabama on paper looks like a surefire thing, but the schedule is changing quickly for Alabama. So I think I'm going to say 4 right now just to be on the safe side. It's not going to be 3. I'll make that prediction right here.
Paul, great stuff. Always appreciate the time. Glad to have you on. We'll look forward to doing it again next week.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
Paul Finebaum joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us each and every week thanks to our friends at Craneworks. And as Greg mentioned, it is a massive weekend coming up next weekend, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but you got number 7 Indiana at number 3 Oregon, number 1 Ohio State at number 17 Illinois. On top of that, we know Georgia Auburn. We know number 8 Alabama's at number 14 Missouri. Huge weekend of college football coming up, and that's why you keep it locked right here on Jocks all week long, because we're going to be breaking it all down. But first, Greg, tell our listeners about Crocker Moving Services.
Well, they're a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys. You can trust them in your home. They need your whole home packed up and moved. Your company headquarters moved across the country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room. These guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchased and need to get to your home. So call or visit them online today for a free quote. The website's CrockerMovingServices.com. That's CrockerMovingServices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
All right, when we come back, we'll continue talking Alabama's win against Vanderbilt. You have feedback on it, 800-239-9569. If you want to get in, you can tweet in at Mac and Q. Be a part of the show there as we continue to discuss this weekend's college football as well as Alabama's win against Vandy next right here on Jocks. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:40, Monday, October 6th, right here on Jocks 94.5. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Listen online, jocksfm.com. That app is in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can always download that for free and listen on the go. I told you, 800-239-9569. If you want to get in, you can do that there. And be a part of the show, be a part of what we're talking about today. Golden Domer wanted to chime in. Welcome into the show, Domer.
Top of the morning, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Doing well,
morning,
thanks.
Domer.
Good call, the Alabama game, Greg. I think you did a good job, buddy. Hopefully Alabama fans thought you were nice enough to them.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure the ones of sane mind feel like it was a pretty good call.
Look, you're an Alabama graduate. You have to say everything good about Alabama. They have the best everything. They're flawless, and the only time they lose is because they don't really want to play. If anything, if you don't say that, then you're a hater, man.
Apparently, that's perfectly fine with me. My son went decked. Whole family went decked in crimson and white. Son wearing a Ty Simpson jersey, and yeah, we got full access. We can go in the locker room, all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, we're okay. I don't need everyone to sign off on the call. I got a job to do.
Hey, to be honest with you, if you made all the Alabama fans happy, you're probably not doing a very good job. Just to be honest with you. So,
but, fair enough.
I want to say this. Greg, I listened to your podcast, and you have a lot of good things to say about Miami, and I don't disagree with you at all. I think Miami might actually be the most complete team in college football currently. The way Beck's playing, they added some explosive receivers. Their line, I couldn't believe they kind of big boy Notre Dame in the lines. But that being said, I think now you have to kind of look at Notre Dame and say, if we're saying now we're in October and that we feel like Miami might be the most complete team in the country. I mean, Notre Dame went to Miami and without, throw up into triple coverage, free catch, they very easily could have won that game. So I think, I really think that Notre Dame, with this offense that they've got, this might be the one team in the last 25 years that I actually believe can win a national championship. And I wanted to see what y'all thought. What do you think about where we're sitting today, the opportunities to get in the playoff? And then can you see this being a team that can win the national championship? Not just get there, but take that next step.
I think it's the defensive progress that I'm most encouraged by.
Yep.
How do you feel, Domer? I mean, watch them. Like, you watch them those first couple games, it was like, what are they doing? I mean, just out of control, bad angles, getting picked and meshed in coverage, not really having an identity. Like, to me, that was what was most frustrating by a mile, was watching them because they got the talent. Like, I've watched Notre Dame practice, and I'm always like, all the guys that are starting this year, I watched them last year in practice. Like, all right, I like what's coming up. That's why I had them as a top 5 defense in the country coming to the season with so many people that were gone off last year's team. And yet I was amazed. I was dumbfounded, frankly, with how inconsistent they were on that side of the ball, because it wasn't for a lack of talent. It was a lack of execution and just a lack of playing discipline fundamentals. And if you watch starting with the Arkansas game all the way through the Boise game, the eyes are so much better. There is a certain level of multiplicity that they have now defensively where they can play more than just press man. Like, I actually like where they're heading on that side of the ball. So I thought it was an okay day offensively this weekend. I didn't think it was great. That was fine. But I also think that it's the defense's progress that is most encouraging based on where they started to where they're at right now.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think one thing that we kind of, maybe me and you both kind of underestimated is Xavier Watts was a dude. I mean, honestly, I think, we have a lot of talent coming back, but that leadership, I mean, he's balling out in the NFL. And I think losing him, and then I also think our linebacker that had, like the career most starts in Notre Dame history on defense. I think they just need a little time to find some leadership back there. And I'm starting to see a little bit more ability to create pressure with just 4, not having to blitz as much. But I agree with you. I think that they're kind of settling in. And like you said at the beginning of the year, me and you talked. We talked about Fields. And I can't think of the last time that Notre Dame had a receiver like Fields where we can literally just throw up and throw a fade and get a matchup. I mean, like you said, Michael Floyd was a great comp. And the little receiver we added from Wisconsin, he's a baller.
And
so
he's a good player. Man,
he reminds me, I don't know if you remember, we had a little guy named David Grimes a couple years ago. Just always found a way to get open, and he reminds me of him. But I'm telling you, with C.J. Carr, I have been if you would have told me before the season started Notre Dame's freshman quarterback was going to be better than the Manning boy, I wouldn't probably not have believed you. But anyway, I'm a critic of Notre Dame. I'm not one of the fanboys who just always picks them to win the national championship. I truly believe that this team gets into the national championship, I think they've got a chance. I mean, if they get in the playoff, I think they could win the championship. They've got what we haven't had. Our running backs are insane. I mean, Jeremiah Love, Price, they're incredible. And not to mention, nobody's talking about our best offensive lineman is not even playing right now. He hasn't played all year. And we get him back, and they're going to put him at guard. I mean, Cole, you can talk about this. This guy's a mauler. He's a beast. And when we get him back in, I think this Notre Dame team could be very, very dangerous. And it wouldn't surprise me if you didn't end up seeing a rematch, Notre Dame-Miami national championship.
Wow.
I don't.
Okay, Domer.
If you want to talk about them squeaking in and finding their way in, I think I would be okay with that because they would have won 10 straight. I've made no bones about how much I appreciate Jeremiah Love. I do think they're, excuse me, a little more capable down the field, maybe even more so than last year. But I don't know if the offensive line is or is going to be as good as last year. Now they were beat up late, so I get that. But you had multiple tight ends that helped that group last year as well. And the depth on that defensive line showed up late last year because you had guys dinged up, and yet they still kept playing good. Do they have that kind of depth again this year? That's a question for everybody. But when I watch what Ohio State's doing and what Miami's doing and what Oregon's doing, and then you still throw out the flyers on some of these other – now, listen, I'm not saying that these teams are on the exact same level, but what Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M, Oklahoma with Mateer – what some of those teams are doing, I don't view Notre Dame on the same level right now as I do some of those other teams. So making that run through the playoffs against a couple of those teams is what I would find extremely difficult.
I'm not saying they can't. I'm not saying they can. Or I'm not saying they can't. I'm purely suggesting that it's not unthinkable if they continue to progress defensively.
Sure. The more entertaining question is, are they in if they win out?
Like you said, I lean in the other direction. I'm with you. I think you actually hit the nail on the head completely. Like, I would favor Ohio State, Oregon. I don't know about Oregon yet, by the way. I'm not there yet, especially after what I saw last week with Penn State. Like, I don't know about Oregon. Maybe I'm going to take a slight step back and see it to believe it mode with Oregon, but I'm with you. Like, I think Notre Dame's a good football team. I don't know if I have them in the Natty yet.
But that's the question, Greg. Let's talk about this just quickly, and then we'll go around some of the other games from the SEC. If they were to win out, do they get in? Because you gotta take a close look at that schedule to make that decision, I think. We'll do it next right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is 8:50 1, Monday, October 6th, right here on Jocks 94.5. If you looked at the Notre Dame schedule, Greg, if they were to win out,
yes,
would it be an easy yes that they are in the college football playoff? And I know that what other teams in the SEC and the Big Ten do, I get that, but just on its surface,
yes,
are they in?
yes.
I'm not as confident as you, and I know Miami and A&M are going to be two really good teams, but I just, where are the impressive wins when we get to that point?
Fair. I think it could be SC. I don't know if
honestly, Navy may end up being one of their best wins.
But you know how weird this committee is? Like last year's committee was like giving points to good losses. Like I mean, I think at 10-2 you're probably in, and you're Notre Dame. Now they won't host a game; they'll go on the road in the first round.
Yeah,
but they'll probably get in. Just being honest, like I wish it wasn't politics, but they're ranked 16th in the AP poll right now. Teams like you referenced, if they continue to kind of go along, they might not have a great win, but they might not need one. When you take into account they lost 2 games on the final play of the game in some cases, against 2 teams that might very well be in the mix. Like to me, I look at Notre Dame and I don't like the good losses metric. I think it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's a moral victory, but it's a real part of their assessment at this point. Fair?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to look at the fact that you're very competitive against 2 teams that have a good chance. I mean, if we get to this and those 2 teams are in, if A&M is, say, the 2 or 3 seed out of the SEC, I don't mean seed overall, but they're the 2nd or 3rd best team in the SEC, either win the SEC championship game or in the SEC championship game and lose it, like those 2 teams are probably in every year. And Miami is your ACC champion and in. I mean, you're probably talking about 2 of the top half seeds in the entire tournament, and that's the only 2 games you lost, and you lost by a combined 4 points. You're going to get some credit for that, specifically with one being on the road to open the season. I just wonder when you say, if you take that and say, okay, but you still lost those games, now give me where you deserve to be in because of what you accomplished, not because of what you almost accomplished. And that's going to be a tough ask. I mean, Boise is going to be a pretty good football team.
That'll be a fine
one. Pitt is in flux right now. I don't know how they're going to end the season. NC State, meh. Stanford's not a good football team. Syracuse, maybe not even as good as we thought they were going to be. Arkansas fired their coach. Purdue, maybe decent. It's going to be, I mean, if someone was asking you to sit down in front of somebody and say, present your case based on what you've proved of why you should be in, that would be a difficult ask at that point.
Yeah. I don't disagree. And if you're measured off your best moments, where will their best moment have come? Does it come in a loss or does it come in a win? Now, you go out and you absolutely stomp a mud hole in somebody, sure, like that can impress a lot of folks, but that's, quote, the eye test, right? You go out and pound bad competition, sure, but I also think it's hard. Right now, it's not really their fault. Like NC State this week, I think NC State's a good football team. Like I like NC State. Okay, I like Pitt. I like these teams, but none are going to wow you. It's a little bit like with what Bama's going to go through this week. Oh, you beat Vandy. And most people who aren't really paying attention are going to say, oh, Vandy's Vandy. But Vandy's not Vandy. Vandy's very good. It's just you're not going to have the sex appeal. So beating a 7-5 SC might get people's attention more so than beating a 9-3 Vandy. It's just the way people are. I don't know why that is, but it's the reality.
Yeah, and so we'll see if that takes place, if that happens. Tell our listeners about Shannara Flooring, though.
Well, Fu and his guys have been stockpiling inventory for a while now. It's been really, really awesome to see. They have up to 50,000 square feet of that Core-Tech flooring by Shaw in stock. And right now they're going to pass some of the savings on to you because of that inventory that they have. 20 to 40% savings when you shop with Fu and the guys at Shannara Flooring. So go and check them out right now. That Core-Tech comes with a 20 mil wear layer. It's built to last and priced to move. So remember Shannara Flooring. When you want Core-Tech, call who? Call Fu. Call them at Shannara Flooring, 205-518-6423, or go online at fuandu.com.
All right, when we come back, we discuss Alabama's win against Vanderbilt, how Florida knocked off Texas, how impressive is Texas A&M. Go a little national as well with some other teams that had impressive wins over the weekend. What did Miami prove with what they did against Florida State? All that and more next right here on Jocks.